Hey, what's up, Blue Team? So this is actually my third take of trying to make this video. I've had like 5 hours of sleep last night, and I worked an 11-hour day today, and I hope you guys can give me a break. But I really wanted to record this video because I think that it's important to talk about what I wanted to talk about today because my industry doesn't talk about it enough. You guys are watching this video in the future, but today, for me, it is Tuesday, December 14th. So I would say, I think it's, how many days is, I'm losing my mind here, so time doesn't mean anything to me anymore. But it's been about 4 days since the log4j vulnerability was discovered. And unfortunately for me, I'm kind of the lead point person for vulnerability management within my organization. Yeah, so it's not a good time for me right now, but sometimes that's kind of how this industry works. I wanted to make this video so that I could share a perspective on our industry that not a lot of people give to outsiders. Even though I really love what we do, it can be really hard sometimes, and I think that it's really important for people who are outside of the industry, who just think that we're kind of magicians and super professional, always know everything, to get a perspective. And also for people who are interested in security and are thinking about making it their career, but might not really have committed to it yet. So today I'm going to be kind of talking about the impact of log4j. I'm not going to be talking too much about the actual vulnerability itself or how it works or anything like that, because I'm sure that's been done to death by now. And especially a week later, there's probably a billion videos on it. But I wanted to kind of talk about the chaotic feeling of being involved in a security incident that's newly unfolding. And I wanted to talk about how that feels and the way that you kind of have to manage the way you communicate it to other people. The difficulty about security incidents a lot of the time is that when they're first unfolding, you don't necessarily know how bad they really are. You have to make conclusions from very little information about complex topics that you might not know very much about, and you have to be able to do that research really fast and be able to come up with a professional conclusion about it. When this whole incident started out, I'll admit that when I first saw that there was, some Java package that had a logging vulnerability in it, I thought to myself, wow, this sounds really stupid. Like, I just don't really care that much. It's just another CVE. I'm going to deal with this on Monday. It's just going to be another week in security, right? But as more information came out and as more reading happened, this one turned into a really, really big deal. In many ways, I'd say that it's potentially one of the worst vulnerabilities that has ever come out in internet history at this point. I'd venture to say that it's worse than even Heartbleed or Shell Shock or anything like that, just because of how insidious it can be to find log4j and figure out what it's built into and all of that stuff. And it's a huge nightmare. But I didn't know that starting out. And I had to go from a position of not knowing anything about log4j, not knowing anything about its impact or, what it really does, because I'm not a developer. I don't write Java. I don't work with Java very much. But I had to ingest a lot of information to make the best decisions possible for the organization. And that's really hard, and it's really stressful. I said at the start of this video that I haven't had that much sleep, and I really haven't. I've been working for like 11 hours today, 11 hours yesterday, and it's just constantly going. I'm getting pings on our internal work chat all the time from people asking about things, and that's just how it works. Because when you get in the midst of it with one of these incidents, what you become as a security expert is you become a centralized repository of information for a large group of people who are confused, scared, and looking for guidance. No one knows what's going to happen, and you kind of have to be the guiding force behind that. And it kind of weighs on you. One of the hardest things that I would definitely say about working in security is that when there's a huge dumpster fire, when everything goes down And when you're put to the wall, your job is to be that person who everyone turns to. And you have to be the crisis management person. We end up spending pretty much the whole day doing research, verifying scans, figuring out what's going on in our environment. But then we go to bed and we think about whether we made the right choices and how our guidance affected the people that we're working with, because we are the guidance. There's so much to security that's all about being a leader and being capable of communicating information under stress. It doesn't help that every piece of technology that we work with was built by a human somewhere. Like, a human made it who was fallible when they made it. And whatever tools we built are stacked one layer on top of another layer, on top of another layer, on top of another, of garbage all the way down. And you never know where there's going to be a problem, how deep that problem's going to run, how stupid a mistake someone made, how silly something is. Like log4j, I don't know who decided that using a logging library to enrich log data was a good idea in the way they were doing it, but it happened, right? It can be really hard to break down the absolute Leviathan mess that is modern technical deployments and the crapware that is enterprise software, and break that down to a level where you can confidently say anything about any piece of software, any utility, any library, any environment being secure whatsoever. Yet you have to. You see every step of the way where the problems are. You see people who don't want to fix the things that are broken. You see, you have vendors who have garbage software that they're not really capable of fixing, but that your business needs anyway. And people just want things to work, but you have to tell them the hard answers of why things are not secure or why things are risky, and be able to tell a story about security that a lot of the time people just don't want to hear. You have to be able to document everything that you do, turn it into a concise communication so that someone can take action to fix what needs to be fixed. A lot of the time, you don't end up being the person actually doing the fixing yourself, and that can be pretty scary because you have to rely on other people fixing crap that's completely broken and then just hope that it's fine afterward. You start seeing every addition, every new software, any new tool that's been built on top of as a potential problem. And you start getting really paranoid about a lot of things because things like this situation right now with log4j, they always happen. And when they do happen, you end up being the person who gets called to clean up after it. And you don't want to do that. No one wants to do it, but you kind of have to do it anyway. And your goal becomes trying to set things up better so that things don't happen like this in the future, or that you're better prepared for the next time. And you constantly just start thinking about what could be more secure, what things you don't know about, what things you could know more about, and you realize just how deep the rabbit hole goes with any particular piece of technology. You worry about whether or not the things and the precautions that you've taken are enough, whether or not the mitigations you made are correct, whether everything that you're doing that so many people are looking at you to do correct is actually right. Despite how we try to portray ourselves as kind of like machismo, cool, calculated professionals who know everything, we don't. Everyone always wants to know how deeply impacted they are. That's the immediate question that everyone always asks. How impacted am I? Do I have this vulnerability on my system? Has someone exploited me? The list goes on and on. But so much of the time in this industry, we don't get clear answers on these kind of questions, and that's what makes our industry challenging. When you care about what you do, you get into this position where you feel like you have to keep working and you have to keep doing what you're doing to get to a right answer that you may never get to, that you may just keep going down rabbit holes to find, and that may be so esoteric, may be so undocumented that you won't ever find a truly 100% definitive answer. For example, with log4j, I don't I think even years from now, we're still going to find new systems that have it installed on them. They're going to be out there on embedded systems and all kinds of other things because this library is just built into so many things. There's no conclusive way to 100% be able to tell someone, yes, I've gotten rid of every single instance of log4j that could possibly affect me. That uncertainty is what is the core of our industry, and being able to deal with that uncertainty, manage it, make the best decisions despite what you know, and present those decisions as a leader, that's how you be a security professional. We in the security industry, in many ways, I would say we're the first line of defense for the internet. And it's an important job what we do. We're there to make the internet better. We're there to advise the people around us how they can stay safe in this digital world that we live in. And we do something that is so, so crucial. I think that the takeaway here is that we need to do everything in our power to share our knowledge, to make things better for other people when we can. That's why I'm making this video right now. That's why I started this channel, because I think that we have a problem in this industry that despite our job being advisors, being reporters, being leaders, that we don't spend enough time leading our communities, making the internet better for the people around us beyond just the organizations that we work for. So I hope that you found this video interesting. I hope that you found it useful. I hope that I didn't ramble too hard. It's going to be a long week for me. I know that it is. My head is killing me, and it's going to be rough. At the end of it, I hope I'll have learned something. But the sad thing is, I know that this is just going to happen again and again and again. This kind of incident, it's not going away. That's the reality that we live in. Anyway, thanks everyone. Bye.